Hi. Uh, as human being, we have a lot of relationships. Our life, actually, our relations. The main question is how these relations affect our health, our bodily health, our psychological health. Uh, of course, it is a big question whether man or woman, which one more relations oriented person, we don't know. But although we can't answer this question certainly, it is obvious that all of us needs relations. Of course, why relations are important for us? Because we need social support. If we receive enough social support from our relations, that means that uh, our health is going to be better. So the point here, social health and physiological health and psychological health mutually influence each other. Uh, of course, when we talk about relations, we talk about family, friends, neighbors, colleagues, and so on. Our relations with our family, with our friends, with neighbors, uh, represent as a sort of as the source of social support. Uh, women particularly values their relations, their social relations, and they are intensively involved uh, in their social relations. I mean, they want intense social relations. They want intense friendship. They want intense relations with their family. They have very intense relation with their co-workers and so on. On the other hand, men, they have a tendency to extend their relations as much as they could. So maybe we could say that maybe social networks of man probably is larger than women. Uh, but uh, as I said earlier, although because women they are very intensive in their relationship, probably they are getting more social support uh, from their social networks. And not because women provide support to other people more than men. And naturally, if woman needs more social support, other people also could provide more support to them. Uh, this is advantage. I mean, women are getting support in their relationship and they are providing support to other people. Receiving support, it is a good thing. It is a source of health for women, but at the same time, women, they are the source of support to other people, and this is also a source of stress for women, because women every time they say, so I have to show my support to my friend, my family, my co-workers, and so on. So if support become a source of social duty for women, this could be uh, a source of stress as well. Uh, and probably uh, these social relations uh, have more effect on women's health than men. I mean, women, because they want to have good social support, and it is good for them. In our social relations, probably the most important social relations is our marriage. Of course, it's a big question whether marriage is something good or something bad. How marriage affect our uh, our health? Uh, Probably, if you have a higher income in your marriage, if you have baby, let's say after 1 or 2 years after you married, and if you married, let's say in higher age after 25, and if you parents married and they don't divorce, your religious affiliation and your education, higher education, all these factors influence whether marriage will affect your health positively or negatively. Of course, we can't say that, I mean, all marriages are wonderful, they are providing support to men and women together. Probably men and women, they uh, probably, we could say that married men and married women, they receive more social support than unmarried men and women, because marriage at the same time uh, constitute a sort of social networks, and family itself, marriage itself, is a social unit. So it's a sort of, marriage is a sort of social platforms which provides you uh, very good support. And of course, when you receive support from your family, from your family, friends, and of course, this has a very positive influence on your psychological, social, and physiological well-being. Within marriage, particularly women, they receive more emotional support, and women probably they are involving more in social networks of family. Probably that is why women could get a lot of support uh, from outside. But it is something clear. Probably marriage is something good uh, for men. That is why we said the, behind every successful man there is a successful woman, because men receive a lot of support from his wife, from his children, from his relatives, from his parents, and so on. And of course, wife is the chief source of support during marriage for men. So I think marriage is something very good for women. Uh, I mean, within marriage, uh, marriage itself become a great source of emotional support. Marriage minimize stress and encourage people better healthy behavior, to live more responsibly, healthily, and so on. Health and marriage, there is a close connection between them. Healthy people probably they want to get married more than unhealthy people, and of course marriage contribute to their health more than any other factors. Of course, life, human life is full of ups and downs. And marriage also could continue happily or could end divorce. Probably women, they are influenced from divorce more than men. Because after divorce, women they have responsibility to earn livelihood, economical responsibility, and they have to take care of uh, all the tasks of family, children, educational responsibility of children, uh, household affairs, and so on. Because uh, and especially after divorce, after marriage ends, this is a challenging task for men and women. Both of them, basically, women try to adapt themselves to this new situation for a long time, but and woman needs time at least if they want to marry again and so on. But men have tendency, they could marry quicker than women. Of course, that's not certain, but at least there is such a tendency uh, for women. And because it is really, I mean, divorce is something difficult, because at the end of divorce, you are losing someone who is very dear to you. And of course, divorce definitely has negative effects on both men's health as well as women's health. Uh, I mean, as long as women, if they have enough financial facilities, financial sources, probably they could overcome the negative effects of divorce easily. Men basically during divorce process, or during after divorce, they need more social support. If they are getting enough social support after divorce, probably they could cope with this new situation maybe better. Uh, so the it is still mystery. I mean, we don't know really. I mean, what extent marriage certainly influence whether man's health or woman's health more. But this is something. I mean, we could make some speculation on it, but we can't identify uh, uh, which one more influence from marriage. But this is something, I think the point is here. It is not marriage itself, but the quality of marriage. The quality of marriage has greater influence on men's and women. For example, if a marriage has a poor qualities, with full of problems, stress, and conflicts, probably this marriage relationship will negatively affect men's and women's health. Uh, but this is something important. This quality of marriage particularly affects women physiologically as well as psychologically. I mean, uh, because men marriage, the quality of marriage affects men psychologically rather than physiologically, but we can see how marriage negatively or positively affects woman's physiological appearance. I mean, this is another important point we have to talk about it. Of course, another relations today, our relations in work today, we are living a different world today. Men and women, most women today, they work. So today family, it is totally different from traditional family. Modern family, men and women today, they work together. But it is interesting that although women, they work in outside as a full-time workers, they still spend more time at their house more than their husbands. So women still spare more time for their family, for their house, more than women do. So here, of course, working gives power, status to men and women together. But the point is here, who brings higher income, or who is better educated? Higher education and higher income, another two important factors which influence men and women relationship. So the elements of power, although men and women are working today, who is more powerful than the other, it is still a big question. Power determines the quality of their relationship. Of course, men and women, after they marry, they become parents, they have children. But we don't know parenthood, what extent provide, for example, satisfaction in marriage. Probably parenthood brings responsibility, brings restriction, limits men and women's freedom. So people, they could perceive parenthood as something which could have some negative effects, but we don't know what extent parenthood determines, parenthood has positive or negative effects more on man or woman. The other important point I would like to talk about is not something nice actually. The relationship between man and woman in the context of marriage or in the context of emotional, romantic relationship, it is very intimate. And intimate relations, unfortunately, includes the elements of violence. Men and women sometimes, unfortunately, they are showing very violent behaviors to each other. Of course, violence has negative consequences and effects on women rather than men. Especially why in intimate relations men show violent attitude towards women. Probably the reason is this: men, they want to control women. In order to control women, they are making women as the target of violence. Of course, here is very important point. The relationship between men and women is not the relationship of power struggle. It is a relationship of living together in peace. That is the job. Therefore, violence, I think, destroys men and women relations, marriage, their mutual emotions, love to each other. Of course, the most terrible, the most horrible attitude in man and woman relationship is the case of rape. Rape, having sexual intercourse with someone without his or her consent. Mostly women, they are the target of rape. And of course, there are many myths about women. They say women, they have fantasy about rape. Woman gives positive signals for rape. Women, they are getting pleasure during rape and so on. So all these are not true. We have to look at rape not as an act of sex. It is as an act, we have to look at rape as an act of crime. And we can't look at rape from the perspective of rapist. We can say that women, for example, were very sexy and then rapist man provoked and that is why he raped her. No, that's not the way we have to look at it. We have to look at from the side of the victim. And we have to look at the rape as an act of crime. So this 2 point is very important in order to understand how rape destroys human relations, man and woman relations, particularly woman's life. Rapist man cannot be a lover or husband for someone whom become the target of rape. So all these examples, I mean, whether our work relations, our relations within marriage, our relations as a parent, and this violence within marriage or rape attitude toward opposite sex, and all these relations have positive or negative effects on our health. If our health depends on our relations, then we have to be careful about our relations, because our relations matters. Thank you.